Now, frenetic for a startup can be a good thing. In this case, it backfired big time, didn't it?
Right, absolutely. So yeah, I think it was a perfect example. You know, Kate and I were just talking about this mentality of kind of move fast and break things, right? And that works in a lot of industries, but in something that's so kind of very regulated and dealing with people's livelihoods, it doesn't work here. And Robinhood kind of made the announcement of checking savings that it was SIPC insured, but the big mistake was that they didn't actually check with SIPC to see if it was insured.
To be clear, they said we have this insurance, and they didn't actually have it. So, Kate, as we look at their next steps, this is a company that's actually trying to get more and more like a traditional bank. So how big a deal is this failed launch to their future?
They are still charging ahead. They're going for a bank charter, which would make them even more regulated. And one of the big criticisms was that there were really, called it no adults in the room, but there was nobody really from Wall Street. But they hired a guy, the CEO of Wedbush Securities, formerly Scott Racusin, to run this bank, and they're calling it Robinhood Bank. It's on LinkedIn. It's, you know, he's in charge. They're clearly planning for it. So they're going full speed ahead. I think in that way, they would be FDIC insured. It would probably resolve some of the issues that regulators, I mean, senators, Congress got involved, which you would think maybe they back off. They say they are still launching the product. It's probably in some sort of a holding pattern.
Right.
But they've said that they're still going to IPO, and they're still raising money. They've got a $7 billion valuation now.
Even with all of this going on, Dan, so Robinhood started out with kind of a trading, I guess you would call it, app aimed at millennials. How would you describe the company today? Yeah,
well, I think that's the whole issue is they've kind of continued to try to grow, right? They start off with the free stock trading, then they get into options, then they get into crypto. This was kind of the next big launch of kind of getting more of the customer's wallet. And I think they were one of the first ones. There were, you know, Acorns had launched a debit card, and a couple others had kind of tried to go, but they went full on, and we're going to kind of be the next big bank. And clearly, they had a big misstep here in terms of kind of going forward.
But is it an existential misstep? In other words, do regulators seem forgiving because it's like, all right, hey, you guys are new to the scene, or unforgiving because it's like, look, you can't just come in and expect to play by different rules from everybody else?
Well, that's the big question, right? So there hasn't been any announcement whether FINRA or the SEC is actually going to put any action against them. I think a lot of other people in the industry are very interested to see what's going to end up happening to them, because if they're not hit with a big penalty, then everyone else is going to say, well, it's kind of free form, and we can go out and say we have this, even if it's not insured or we're not checked it, because why not? You know, who cares?
And what's the company saying, Kate?
They have said we're still going forward with it. They're not giving details. They've said we're still looking to IPO. But in the meantime, you've got Wealthfront and SoFi and others launching similar products. So Wealthfront has a savings account, basically, that has a 2.5% interest rate. So in the 6 months that this has all happened, there are competitors moving in. So I think they were the first mover. But because of this, the reputation of, oh, you could go to Marcus, you could go to Wealthfront, is there going to be a trust issue?
Yeah, they've gotten lapped in a lot of ways because they were, like, exactly like you said, they were kind of one of the first movers here with this checking and savings. Now they've had to put that on hold, kind of wait in a flying pattern, and everyone else has been able to jump ahead.